And we really don't do that.
I would say that's probably been the biggest difference for me lately. But I might as well take advantage of the opportunity because I'll just share my kind of like upcoming a little bit as far as my faith. 6th, 7th grade, I started going to Jubilee in El Viso, California, with Josh and Joe. And I started going with them on Sundays every once in a while. And we would go to the kids' service. I don't know if you guys in, but his mom and my mom played high school basketball together. She was one of the pastors at that church, so that was like a very easy tie-in for me to kind of be engaged. And that kind of developed the understanding, the faith. So now we're 5-6 years removed from graduating, and I still have to this point have not had any yearning like I need you, I want you constantly in my life. Even with things that I've seen my family go through, that I've seen friends go through, nothing has ever pushed me or broken me down enough to where I finally decided, you know what, I'm giving this all to you completely. Sure enough, me and Lauren decided to go to Cathedral of Faith, also in San Jose. We started going to the Wednesday night services. First service that Pastor Mike was speaking on when I got there was prayer. And he spoke on, I'll bring the verse back, I think it was 2 Samuel 17:14, something like that. And he spoke on that same verse, all about prayer, for 6 Wednesdays straight. And that was exactly the right message at the right time that I needed to put this into practice. And sure enough, I started to do that. After 6 weeks, there was a week break between that and Easter. And me and Lauren, we decided to go to Capitola. On the way down, and I'll upload this photo later, but on the way down, I saw this Jesus Christ custom-made figure out of sea scraps and metals and products that were just found along the street. Took a selfie with it just because I thought it was cool, but didn't realize what was about to happen. And we ended up going to breakfast. I was wearing my Kevin Durant jersey. They had blown out the Rockets by 40 the night before, so 2 or 3 different people all came up to me, were talking to me about them, things like that. After breakfast, we ended up going to the concrete couches. If you've ever been to Capitola, you know exactly what I'm talking about. There's these concrete couches or slabs of concrete, literally, that you sit on and you face the water without actually being in the sand. But you're right where the sand meets. And we were just sitting there, just admiring the water. We weren't going to go into the beach or anything. We weren't dressed for it. And just enjoying the moment. And in my peripheral, I see a gentleman sit down in front of me, facing me. So his back's to the water, right? So he's obviously going to engage with me. I would say before this moment, 11 times out of 10, I would have been on a negative state of mind. I would have naturally wanted to get him the heck up out of my face, basically. And, I was just, something in me was just like, let's just give him the time of day. We'll see what he wants, and then, we'll take it from there. And sure enough, he asked me about Kevin Durant and the Warriors. And he gets me talking, jabbing away. A few minutes later, the real point of the conversation started to kind of surface. And he's like, well, I actually am just here talking to you because Easter is next week. And I'm just curious as to how you guys feel and what you think about it and things like that. And this was again, perfect timing, perfect opportunity for me to share what I was going through in those moments. I was just praying and practicing for a month and a half. I was starting a business. I was doing a bunch of things, and God just started finessing his way through my life in such a short amount of time. I was excited to even just be able to speak on it and share what I was going through and what I was feeling. And, so I was able to share that, as well as realize that, if you ask 7 out of 10 people what happened on Easter, they're not going to know that Jesus rose from the dead, which is can you think of a more historic moment than the one only person that's ever risen from the dead? I can't think of anything that's better than that. But like I said, 7 out of 10 people aren't going to know what happened on that day. And it's just become more of a holiday that we celebrate with our family than a real remembrance of what's really happened. So he took a moment to pray for us, everything that I was going through. And long story short, his kids went to the same high school that me and my girlfriend went to. Him and his wife for decades went to the same church that my girlfriend's parents still go to this day. And there was just so much in common and in relative and in that moment that I was able to decipher for myself that God was literally putting himself directly, physically, tangibly in front of me. And nothing has been the same since. Nothing. So he's literally finessed way more in those days since than he did in those days leading up to that moment. So I assure you, if you were trying to find yourself, find God in yourself first. And then you'll be able to figure out the rest. But you can't figure it out till you know who you are. That's our millennial mystery. We can be whoever we want to be. We can be whatever we want to be. But what are you going to be?
So make a decision.
What is it going to be?
No, man, that was powerful. Really not hard to come after. It's just more of I've always grown up in church. I grew up in Jubilee, so it's weird that we didn't see each other.
Right.
And we probably did, and we just didn't know that we were going to be here.
Yeah.
Man, that's nuts. Kind of always understood about God and who he is, and I guess I've been blessed to know that it's more of a relationship with him instead of a religion that you have to follow. But going from that, knowing that God always is going to be there for me, it made me stray. It definitely made me stray, but in a good way, because I came back that much stronger. In doing that, when I came back, it was after I got hurt in Fresno. When I tore my ACL, I was like, if this is what I was supposed to do, why am I not doing it? If this is what I've dreamt about since day one, and I thought I had a good relationship with God, why is this happening to me? And so that questioning alone pulled me back in just the strongest way possible, because I wanted to know. I said, all right, God, if you're real, what's going on? Why am I having these issues? And so from that, I dove into his word so much harder than what I was doing before, just because I already knew he was there. And I wasn't really worried about it, but it wasn't until I went through a treacherous time, or per se, something that was so rough for me, it wasn't until then that I came back to God. And in a way, nothing's been the same, but it was also a time where I grew in patience, because things are different, but it's still hard. It's still hard to be like, all right, where are you at, God? I have things that I want to do, but they're not happening yet. And then slowly I get to see, as we sit down at something like this with the three of us, of just where we were just a month ago talking about stuff like this, stuff that we wanted to do, and here we are doing it. So, man, that's really it. That's really it. John?
I think with my walk with God, I've always been, I want to say, the strongest. My mom's done a good job of keeping me, making sure my life with God was right, always asking me. And I've always been the type of person to ask my mom questions about verses and everything like that, trying to pick her brain, because my mom is, she's pretty powerful in that sense. Her faith is really strong. And I think that with my walk with God, I think he's made the title adversity, for sure, a huge topic in my life. I think my story has to start with, from Valley, I went on to Monterey Peninsula to go play basketball over there. And, I think that's when adversity actually restarted coming into my life. My brother gave me a car the second year playing JC ball. The car broke down, the clutch broke. And from there, I had to take the bus from San Jose to Monterey every single day.